Well, boomer bashing, I don't get it. I listened to a bunch of and read a bunch of stuff online and started out at Reddit. They have an actual thread that's dedicated to boomer bashing, talking about all the bad things that boomers do. I have no idea really. I mean, I've been hearing the word boomer for years and years, but it's meaningless as far as I'm concerned. I don't know when the boomer generation starts or the boomer generation ends. It's all just silly. It's just another kind of thing, as far as I'm concerned, to divide us up and put us in boxes and, oh, you're this, you're a alphabet soup generation. The Gen X and Gen Z. Is that it? And then there's millennials. What's the next ones? And what about the guys before us? The greatest generation that before was named the greatest generation because of Tom Hanks movies, I think. It was the Beat generation. um, don't get me wrong, I think they were a pretty great generation. My mom and dad, you know, they were pretty cool people. Both of them semi-damaged from the war in Europe. That's where they met after that. And anyway, so I've been listening to all this stuff about um, the generation below me. I guess the generation X, is that it? Or I'm not sure. I'm not sure because I just don't believe in any of that crap. Like I said, it's just another way to box people in and pit people against each other, and you know, really, that's the way we need to speak. And then I'm thinking, you people over there at Reddit in that little thread, well, the things they were saying were so childish. It was like little children whining and crying. And maybe it's because it is kind of a younger generation. And a lot of the complaints are valid. I mean, I'm not saying that. But it's not just the old boomers, it's everybody. There's plenty of young people that are just as guilty of whatever the accusations are, that you're making about boomers hoarding all the money or blah, blah, blah. I'm doing okay. I mean, I saved my money, but when I first started out, I was broke as shit for most of my life. And being a musician isn't exactly the most lucrative. And then when I actually started doing some stuff, like I bought old houses and fixed them up and rented them out. And up until about 2008, I was doing really good on that deal, and I had amassed quite a bit of equity anyway. And then 2008 came along, and the greatest generation um, and I can't remember who was in the White House. I know it was a Republican. Might have been George H.W. But anyway, they took everything from me. So basically started over again in about 2008, which wasn't that long. And then I don't exactly remember the year, but it was 15 years ago, so it had to have been not much longer after that. You know, I don't want to get into all the details, but pretty much lost everything. So, and did I complain about what the greatest generation did to me? I didn't complain about the generation. Certainly complained about the powers that be. I really complained about the interest rates going up so high and all the dumb things that Fed thing does, which is just a made up. That's just the richest people in the world are part of that. That's a quasi-governmental thing, And I don't want to get into that either because it's just talk about this generation thing. So the silliest part of all this is they're like having a contest going, oh, in my generation, we drank out of the hose and we had a key around our necks with a string and because our parents were all both working and wah. So sorry for all the misfortunes that happened to you personally. I'm sure there was tons of kids that none of that was happening to in your generation. And I'm sure there was tons of kids that had it way worse than you could even imagine in your generation. And as far as this playing outside stuff, I don't know. I see the younger generations that I see are all skateboarding and surfing and going around outside doing stuff and hiking and mountain biking and even in the cities, they're playing basketball and whatever. And so I think it's all just a bunch of malarkey. It's all just a bunch of another kind of subtle way to sort of subdue the masses and give people another false flag to fight about, So I'm just here to say, all you people that complain about the boomer generation or any generation, God, he who is without sin cast the first stone, or whatever, however that Jesus stuff goes. But it's pretty ridiculous. Every generation has a percentage of assholes. Every generation has a percentage of good people. Every generation has a major group of don't give a shit humans that just wash their hands of everything and just all they worry about is their jobs and their money and shit. It's all the same. Every human condition exists in every generation. Every human emotion exists in every generation. Now, one my first memories, I feel really lucky, but we were poor. We weren't that poor, but my parents got divorced when I was very young. My mother wanted to go to work, and my dad was like, no. This is the United States. And he was in the Air Force, so he wasn't having any of that. But my mother said, well, screw you, and she went and got a job. They got divorced, and I ended up living on this farm for about 2.5 years. Now, we knew him because my first memories were living on this little place where my dad wanted to live. My mother wanted to live in town, so we moved back into Alexandria. We were living in Virginia. outside of D.C. My old man worked at the Pentagon for the Air Force. So, I hear all this complaining and stuff, and do you know what it's like for a farm kid? And I'm sure it's still today there are kids that get up really early in the morning and have a set of chores, regardless of their age, that they have to do. If they're real young, well, the chores aren't that strenuous, but they still have to do them. You know, go get some eggs out of the chicken coop. Boy, that used to just scare the crap out of me. And we didn't have all these fancy, you know, the way chickens are now. They all had like little coops, little cubby holes, and you would go in there and reach under, you'd try to shoo them off and grab the eggs, but if you stuck your hand down underneath the hand to try to get the eggs, that bam, if you were young, you'd get scared the bejesus out of me. Shucking corn. How many of you had to do that? Shucking peas. The most wonderful time of my life, I think. Drinking out of hoses. Although, we always used to go up to the hose and undo it from the faucet because we didn't like that rubbery taste that hoses have. So instead we just drank the galvanized steel taste. Anyway, I just wanted to say, and I'm gonna, so it goes in the record in my files of videos that I'm making, that this generation thing is silly, and for anybody to be arguing about, oh, my generation's better than yours, or my generation had it harder than yours, or blah blah, it's all just a bunch of hooey. Stop it. It's meaningless. Yes, the old generation, all you people are going, oh, well, the older generation screwed the world up. No, no, no. All human beings in general have screwed the world up. All of us as a group. It's not just one group. I haven't seen anybody else doing it. Plenty of whatever the complainers are in that Reddit site, sitting there with their iPhone or their, the other kind of phone, Android phone, while the planet's being raped by, oil people and mineral companies but it's all the boomers' fault. Has nothing to do with shitty, greedy people of every generation. It's just the boomers. How silly. I'm sorry. Anyway, I know this isn't important. I just want to get it off my chest and say what I felt about that. And it just all that does is just add to the confusion and the stupidity of our day and age. So, stop it. That's all. It's ridiculous. Anyway, I'm gone. Buenas noches. Adios. And one day I'll find this button.